your people coming into the room. Excited to have you, so take your time to set up. I'll tell hello everyone. I'm Ari Melber with MSNBC News, and we're about to get. Can I say? Are we about to get a little icy?
We are about to get a little icy. I know that's right.
How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, quarantine has been treating me good. I'm a homebody, so I've been loving it.
I heard you say, we can get right into just lifestyle, and then we'll talk about what you're up to, what you're doing, but I heard you say that you like to really chill and just be centered at home, which, you know, I always say we learn about artists, like people might see you one way and think you're just out partying and flexing, but why do you like to be home, and does that mean quarantine's been easier for you?
Well, for me, like, I'm very grateful that when Icy popped off and went crazy and I was working nonstop, but I'm super creative and I was kind of put on a standstill because I was traveling so much. So being in quarantine definitely has me tapping into my creative roots.
And can we tell the people your beautiful background? Is that just normal life for you, or is this like your Instagram colorful, sparkly background?
Oh yeah, this is my quarantine background that I did myself because I was like, I look so boring in my kitchen. My thing was in my kitchen, so I was like, let me create something that's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. If I could say the background's beautiful. We have this thing on the news now. You know, for years it was always you go to a TV studio. You know, from doing your own interviews. Now we're getting everybody from home. So you start seeing like what's in the background, what's their life, or in your case, like people make it nice, you know?
Yeah, you definitely have seen a lot of people's backdrops. And I'm like, I still live in my apartment. I'm trying to buy a house this year, but that was kind of put on a standstill because of quarantine. So, you know, I have to zhuzh it up a little bit.
Got the style. Well, look, there's a lot we can get into, and obviously we're in an environment, there's a lot of important stuff going on out there that I want to ask you about. I know you're working on some of that. But starting with your music, a lot's happened for you, for people watching. It might feel fast. I know sometimes when you're the artist, you know how much work and time you put into it. But tell us about Icy, about what's going on, about the love you're getting, and how are you feeling creatively?
I'm sorry, the little 20% thing just like your phone's about to die just popped up on my screen, so I missed that whole question. But I have my charger now, so can you please repeat that?
Well, shout out to chargers. You know when they say like artists, they're just like us, and sometimes we have the phone issue. Yeah, I was asking you like, how are you feeling creatively that you come this way? To people watching, it might seem fast. You've obviously done the work and done the time, but like, how are you feeling creatively? How are you feeling with Icy, and you're getting a real positive reception?
I'm super excited. You know, I did the High Maintenance EP, I did the Icy EP, but now I'm coming out with Pretty Bitch Music, which is, you know, a project that's going to be more than 15 songs. So it is a great time, you know, in my career. And Pretty Bitch Music is like super loaded. It definitely has a meaning to it. And I feel like I've just been talking about it all day, so I'll definitely, you know, just condense it so you get a little taste of it. So Pretty is, I feel like, you know, there's been a certain standard in social media, and I've noticed that, you know, it makes a lot of men and women uncomfortable. So I kind of want to give the power back to my fans and let them know that they redefine what is pretty. Like, what does pretty mean to you and what makes you pretty? Because we're all unique, and who wants to all look alike? It's very important to be unique. And then when it comes to bitch, today is Tupac's birthday, so happy birthday to a legend.
Shout out to Pac, Thug Life.
Exactly, and I was inspired by this acronym for Thug Life. So bitch means to me, it means boss, it means independent, it means tough, it means CEO, and I'm from the Bay, so you know the H means hyphy.
I love it. Well, we hear about that a lot with people reclaiming words, right? A word can be used against you, it can put you down, or you can reclaim it and flip the power. Like another young female artist, Rico Nasty, was telling me about how she's from Puerto Rico. She was a kid. Some other kid, you know how kids do, said, "Oh, Rico, you smell, you nasty." And and she flipped that, and now it's to this day, as you know, still her rap name. So what does that mean to you when you say like pretty beat music? You know, what do you want women to take from that in your generation, where you're saying, okay, you don't have to be defined by that, you're repurposing it kind of?
Well, I'm happy you shared that because I never knew where the origin of her name came from. So I'm happy to see one of my peers flip something and make it her own, and that is my goal with Pretty Bitch Music because,
Mhm.
like I said, it has those meanings that are attached to it. So Pretty Bitch Music, I'm reclaiming what it means to be called a bitch because I say bitch a lot in my music. So I want to let people know when I'm saying bitch, this is what it means. And then pretty, like who don't want to be pretty? So it's
Mhm.
like, but it's very important that you are your own pretty because when you start conforming, when you start trying to, be something that isn't, true to you, that's when it's a problem. So I want to give the power back to my fans and
Mm.
the people who listen to my music because my goal is to empower, my goal is to inspire, and my goal is to, have a good time.
How did you come up when you were I was reading you were in college and you were already kind of putting yourself out there. You were doing like covers, right? Like everyone thinks of karaoke, they could do covers. I think yours might have been better than the average cover.
Thank you.
But
Thank
how did
you.
that come about? And what age were you? And when did you say, oh, I got this, like I could do this for my job?
I think I was 14 or 15, I don't know. It was around that, the early teen years. But the first song that I wrote to was a Millie. And I remember just falling in love with the beat. And I was like,
Mm.
I really want to, it was like a out of nowhere type of urgency to just write to a beat. So I was like, I want to write to a Millie. And that was the first rap over beat that I ever did. So,
We're
you
talking
know,
Lil Wayne.
yeah, so he's a legend, a GOAT, and I think that, I was inspired since I was a kid from just the hip hop that was, you know, current and just constantly being played in my house.
What's your favorite like Lil Wayne song or album other than Millie?
My favorite Lil Wayne song is Working On. It's from one of his mixtapes.
That,
Like, we
like
see
the
baby,
chocolate
blah, blah, blah,
groove?
blah, blah, got it. Everybody.
What do you take from his flow? Because as you know, like Wayne and Jay-Z, they don't even really traditionally write with a pen.
Mhm.
And do you feel like you can almost hear that, like especially early Wayne, you could just feel how much it's just top of the dome, like it just flows out of him.
With Wayne, I think he's just super creative, and when I hear that type of authenticity, when I hear that type of creativity, I'm like, wow, like it really makes me want to just be great. So I know that we have definitely like different styles, but growing up, he was someone who was heavily streamed on my iPod. I mean, they ain't even know iPods no more, but he was heavily
On the
streamed,
iPod.
not even streamed, just played on, my iPod playlist.
Well, was it not Sahai the Prince who said, if God had an iPod, I'd be on his playlist?
Who said that?
Sahai the Prince.
Oh my gosh, I did not know
Yeah,
that. That is
with rappers, you got to be careful. You make a technology reference in your bars, but like you don't know if in 5 years it's just gonna sound old, right? Like no
wow.
one has iPods anymore, but I remember them. I'll tell you, one of my favorite Wayne songs is do you know Dr. Carter?
Yes. Hmm.
And it's like him giving medical attention to weak MCs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's definitely someone who's thought outside the box.
Mm.
So just being in high school and hearing Young Money, hearing Taylor Gang, hearing Currency, those like three groups of people, they were like the culture of high school. So I'm very proud that this is a moment for me to kind of give back to the little kids that are listening to Saweetie. And I definitely feel like this is my passion, this is destiny, but now that I'm actually fulfilling it, it just feels amazing.
That's awesome. And that's an awesome feeling. You're doing that as a leader. And it's not always about age or identity, but like you're 26 now?
I'm 25.
25?
Actually, I'm
People,
25.
25?
Yeah, I'm 25. I can't be
You said
dating. I'm
it.
ageless, baby.
I'm not going to argue with that. I think some people they might think from your success and your confidence that you were way older. Like they might think of it just because you seem so together, but you're like out there being a real role model, right?
Well, for me, like The reason why I think college is just really important, even if you go for a semester, because it teaches you, you know, invaluable skills that you wouldn't learn in corporate America or the street. So I feel like college definitely contributed to who I am as a human being. So I'm very grateful for that experience because, but before this, like, I'll tell you, I was not confident in public speaking. I talk with so much slang. I hated class because it was so proper. So I'm definitely happy that I was able to have some growth and, you know, as a woman, as a human being, and, you know, mentally.
That's interesting you say that because, so I went to college and then I went to law school. And one of the things I noticed is there's all these rules around language that are supposed to make you sound smart. And a lot of them are bullshit. A lot of them are just the ways that people have kind of kept a club. Like in law, they'll make it real complex. Like, oh, this was vehicular manslaughter. And you're like, so they killed him with a car? Okay, so the way you're saying it's not adding anything, it's just like, it's just keeping people out from that conversation. So did you feel like going to college, you were like, okay, that's a certain type of language, but what part of that do you still use, and what part of that are you like, that's not even relevant?
College taught me to be a critical thinker. I think that's something that you can get inside college, and if you're fortunate to have a parent or, you know, if your surroundings can teach you about critical thinking, that's where that comes into play. Because unfortunately, some of the terminologies that are created and used are to shut out the people who may not understand it. And it doesn't say that they're not smart, they just weren't educated to, you know, think a certain way. So I definitely feel like critical thinking is important, because even if you don't know what vehicular manslaughter may mean, you can be like, well, what does that mean, so that you can educate yourself. I feel like questions are super important, and that's how you can grow mentally, and just, you know, it helps with just your growth with being wise. So I encourage everyone to ask questions, especially in the classroom. I don't know if I got any middle schoolers, high schoolers, college people, and even in the working, you know, community. Ask questions, because knowledge is power. That's what I say.
Respect. That makes a lot of sense. I'll just do a little radio reset for those people jumping out of the room. I'm Ari Melber with MSNBC. I'm here with Saweetie, who's 25. And I got to work on, I don't have a ready nickname. And maybe you're 26, maybe you're 25. The commenters are getting into it. I'm 40. We could call that 40 dope, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you can say you're 45.
45.
You're 45.
But that makes it sound like I'm 45. I don't want to get near that yet, you know?
Oh, no. When I say I'm 25, that just means I'm ageless. I'm just full of youth and life, you know.
Respect. Ageless is good.
I don't have baby hairs. I can give you some baby hairs, so, you know. I got a little baby in your line. We can slip them things down, give you a little swoop over there. So don't worry, I got you.
Thank you. Well, you have tremendous energy. I wanted to ask you, you were in the Rihanna video. What was that like? What does she mean to you?
Rihanna is legendary, and what I really love about her is that she is an inspiration for girls who look like her, meaning like Black girls, minority girls. And, you know, she is such an inspiration because she shows me what I could possibly be. And I could definitely see myself being, you know, someone who has a long-term career in music, someone who is a fashion icon, someone who is a businesswoman, someone who is respected just as a CEO and as a powerhouse. So shout out to her. And, you know, I'm very thankful that there are women like Rihanna who give hope to girls that look like me, Black girls. So that's really important that, you know, we're out here and we're, you know, making changes, not only for our lives and our families' lives, but for our community's lives.
Yeah. Well, you get into community. That's obviously something we're going to talk about. Everybody knows what's going on in America right now. You have Icy by Saweetie. You guys are now doing a collaboration, proceeds benefiting Black Lives Matter. Tell us about both that as a way you're concretely involved and what you think about everything going on out there.
Well, for me, I was really excited about my second capsule with Pretty Little Thing. I have a third one as well. So that's a nice exclusive for you, but let's focus on the second capsule. And, you know, it was scheduled for that day, we didn't move it, and we chose to donate all proceeds to the Black Lives Matter movement because it's important for me to use my platform to make a difference, which is my top priority. So I'm really proud that pretty little thing like decided to take a stand with our community because it's important for us to make a difference.
Do you feel in your day-to-day, whether that's conversations you're having, you're obviously doing business, you're doing music, do you feel anything that makes you think things are changing? Or are you concerned we're not there yet? Because in our reporting, you know, there are things you can point to where you see, oh, wow, like there's been pressure and there's been change. But we have a lot of activists and experts and civil rights advocates on our news program. And as you know, a lot of them say, not enough, not fast enough. The whole problem is nothing changes. I'm curious, just as given your position, what you're seeing, what you're feeling on that.
What I will say is I'm very happy that our community, along with other communities who have, you know, supported and backed us, we are taking steps, although, you know, when we do have our successes and when we do reach our accomplishments, we're pushed back. Cops were arrested, people are peacefully protesting, but then you look up and you read that 4 people in America have been lynched. That's scary. That's scary, and it's very disturbing to see and to read because it's letting you know that we are making progress, but that progress is upsetting, you know, people who are against this movement. So hopefully we will, you know, have some progression, big progression, because these battles that are being won are just being pushed back by things like that, and it's unfortunate. And my priority is to make a difference, which is why we donated to foundations. And I'm also starting my own foundation. So,
oh, yeah? What's that about?
Yes. This time, I mean, since I was a kid, my daddy Black and he was young, I've experienced, you know, him being racially profiled, you know, through driving. I've witnessed other things that came with the circumstances of being a Black man, through witnessing it through my daddy and being present when he experienced that. So this is something that's not new, but something that I have noticed in this, you know, time and era, that it's important for me to make a difference, because if I'm silent, if I'm not doing my, you know, duty as a Black woman, it's a disservice to my community. So I've been inspired to create a foundation of my own, which I am legally processing this week. We're filing papers since yesterday morning, so I'm really excited for that.
That's great. Congratulations. I think that's wonderful. I'm curious, who do you look to, whether it's in hip hop or beyond, as that next generation of leaders, of people who you would rely on if they say, well, this is an important issue, or here's how we're going to go about it? Who might you look to, or who do you take? Whose word do you take as valuable?
My grandma Icy. She's been an activist since my age. She was Miss Black Nebraska. She was protesting on her college campus. She actually didn't walk to get her master's when she graduated, because if I remember this correctly, they weren't allowing Black men to walk. So that was her way of protesting, by receiving her master's but not walking to, you know, show her support in that. So since I was a little kid, my grandma has been educating me, and I always look to her for advice and for information because I know she'd be on it.
Great. Yeah, I mean, we've seen like Jay-Z and Yo Gotti and Meek Mill are all, you know, even before this recent round, which has gotten more people's attention, they've been doing a lot like what you're doing with a foundation, with activism, with looking at racism in the prison system. So it's interesting because, you know, a lot of, oh, by the way, our show account has a good one here. Shout out to Grandma. I'm pinning that. All right. Shout out to Grandma Icy. So we're seeing that. I'm curious, do you think that it matters whether the music is also about those topics? Because there's a lot of music that's like fun party music, and then the artists on the side are doing the stuff. Or you mentioned Tupac's birthday. He did both. I mean, he had Thug Passion and California Love and the party music, but he also had, you know, Brenda's Got a Baby or Keep Your Head Up. Do you think that like that's something you want to engage in your art, or it could go either way?
I definitely feel like it is something that artists have to, you know, do if they're interested in it, you know, in a genuine way. Like, it is important for us to be true to self. And I feel like this goes all the way back to Icy Girl. The great thing about Icy Girl is you can twerk to it, but at the same time, I'm saying can't stop, won't stop, get WAP. I'm talking about investing in the right companies. I'm shedding a lot of like knowledge, even though, you know, it is considered a turn-up song. And one thing that I will say about my new project is I have a song called Prayed Up on it. And when I wrote it, it was coming from the heart, and I'm talking about all different types of women in it. So because I've been talking about this, it is on brand for me to talk about social issues. It is on brand to talk about empowering all women. And I'm really excited for y'all to hear this song. I mean, if I could drop it today, I would, and I wanted to because of times like this. But you know how that go. Gotta wait for that.
Well, I'm sure I can see a lot of your fans and listeners are right in here in this chat. Like, I'm sure they'll keep waiting. We'll be excited to get it. Now I gotta ask you the real basic dad questions. Okay, because I'm never afraid to just be, you know, myself. You said it's a turn-up song. Define turn-up song.
You are such a dad. Turn up. It means you can twerk to it, you can cheers to it, it gets your body moving. Turn up is like an energy that you feel throughout your body. So I feel like that was the beautiful thing about Icy Girl, because although it was inspirational, you know, you can twerk some to it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't explored my own twerking side, but you know, life is long.
I'd like to see that one day.
Anything's possible, you know, anything. Now, of course, people know you got Quavo on these songs. What's that like working together?
Quavo is like a sergeant in the studio.
Really?
He don't play. I be trying to have fun, but he be really serious. You know, he has a lot of great gems, and we work really well together because I'm a hard worker, but he's like a dad. Like, he's like a drill sergeant. He does not like when I play around, and he likes me to just get it perfect.
Now, does he walk it like he talks it? She's gone. She left, everybody.
Are you really? That is such a dad. Wait, are you a dad?
I'm not technically a dad in the sense that I have no children, but I do rock dad jokes and dad vibes pretty hard, I think.
Oh my God. That was great. Oh my God. Yeah, he the honcho. So he's very affirmative, and he knows what he wants. And like I said, he's like a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are.
Well, look. First of all, obviously we're in quarantine, but someday I hope I can, you know, come see both of you guys perform or in studio or whatever it is, because I think both of you guys are great. Obviously, we're talking here, but I think you're actually saying something important that people can learn from, which is y'all are so energetic and you have so much swagger and persona, and that's obviously a real part of you. But you telling us that, like, Quavo, this is kind of like Bob Marley, like at a distance, you know, people think Migos are very cool. Like, just like even the Rap Snacks Migos is Cool Ranch with a dap or whatever, because that's the whole brand, right? And I'm sure they are cool, but you're telling us he's not mellow, like he's not just lounging in the studio, because that's his work, right? So it's like he has more than one vibe.
Yeah, what I will say is, you know, we've been involved for quite some time, and the Migos, they're super hard. They're actually working on their project while I'm working on mine, and it's just great to see three young Black men put their minds together and, you know, work for it, because they're extremely talented, creative. I've seen them on commercial sets. I've seen them record, and I'm really excited for their next project as well.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the Migos. I mean, did you ever watch the Saturday Night Live skit where they did the Migos therapy?
No, I haven't.
Okay, sweetie. That's my recommendation to you. You're going to give us new music. You're doing all your charity. You're doing great things. This is my informational gift to you and anyone watching. Chris Redd, who's a very talented former rapper who's now a comedian. He's one of the comedians on SNL. he and Keenan and some of the other ones, they have this whole skit, and it's called Friendos. So Quavo is what's the word? You know, when you're satirized or whatever, like the impression.
Okay.
So they have an impression of Quavo and everybody, Offset and Takeoff, but the concept is they're all doing group therapy.
Okay, I gotta watch this. I need to see. Wait, what's it called again?
It's Saturday Night Live. It's called Friendos. It's probably on YouTube. People in the comments, if anyone knows, help us out here. Like, it might be in YouTube or wherever. You can give us a link, but or a name to search. But like, so it's like them all together, and it's playing with basically like, you know, and therapy. Like, no shade on therapy, a solo or in a group, it can be very useful, right? But it's like joking with it, like being like, oh, I never thought you guys really like my ad libs. Like, I don't add that much. And then it's like, no, your ad libs are dope. Like, it's a beautiful skit.
Oh, I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it and see it.
And I'm sure, well, I don't know. Do you know? Maybe, I don't know if Quavo ever saw it. I feel like if they did an impression of on SNL, your friends call you. They're like, dude, you're on SNL, you know?
Oh, my, you know what? Okay, I gotta see it. So they do impressions, huh?
Yeah, they do. And it's funny because this is another thing we've been talking a little bit about culture, right? Like, I'm super into hip hop culture. I always have been. Like you mentioned, Pac. I remember getting the double disc back when we had the CDs of All Eyes on Me.
Uh-huh.
And I, you know, that was like our biggest thing. I was 14, maybe. I'm dating myself here. But like, we were all into that, right? But like in the old days, SNL was way more narrow. I think it was way more white, obviously. And now it's like anyone gets made fun of. So they do an impression of the president.
Wait, but they specialize in impressions, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of.
Can you do an impression?
Of who? Who do you want me to do an impression?
Let me see your Quavo impression.
I don't think this is a good idea.
No, I think it's a great idea. We talking about it, so let me see.
You know what? Let me think of a song. All right, you're putting me on the spot, but I always say, let me think of a song to get in the mood. I always say, I ask everyone so many questions.
Well, at least let me see your dab. Because you talk about a dab of ranch. Let me see you dab.
The dab, I don't do that. Well, it's like this, right?
Now you gotta. I ain't gonna give you no cheat code. You gotta do it. Where's your dab at?
Like this?
No, the other way. Put your head the other way.
The other way.
The other way. Yep. And you.
I mean, I appreciate the lesson. I feel like I'm failing, but it's okay to fail sometimes.
Okay, we can get your dab together. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking about here. I'm putting one on just to get me in the mood, you know.
Oh, let me see.
You know.
Can you hear that?
Y'all rich niggas.
Oh, because you know I've been bad and bougie. I don't know that's right and never ever wrong.
Can you hear it or no? I don't know how good the volume is.
I can hear it. Go. What?
I think I don't think I can speak like Quavo. I don't think I want to try that. I think I would fail, and then it would be on the internet forever.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I wonder if he's watching this. He's probably laughing. Oh my gosh. But yeah, they've been working on new music. I've been working on new music. So this year is just gonna be a great year. Pretty Bitch Music. We don't have a date yet, but it's late summer. I think the girls gonna like it.
You think it's gonna be? The girls are really gonna feel it.
I feel like the girls gonna be tapped in, and I speak for all the hustling, all the educated, all the bomb CEO type of girls. So we're gonna make it do what it do.
Yeah. What's a song on there that can you tell us a song or at least about a song on there that you're really excited about?
I have a song that's called Saweetie's Workout Plan. And it gets the body moving. I think, you can work out to it or you can twerk to it. I'd love to see you twerk to it.
Well, workout plan, that reminds me, I think Kanye has a song about a workout plan.
Yeah, but mine's is different. But, 1 and 2 and 3
like...
and 4 and 2. Yep, you said that's how. Something like that.
I like it. If Quavo is watching, you can tell him that I saw him in Brooklyn. I saw him play on the Drake and the Three Migos.
Are you a Quavo fan?
Well, I'm everybody's fan. I'm a bigger.
You know what? We should get you. You know how they got them dreads that you put on your head?
Yeah.
I want to see you twerk with some dreads on your head, and we gonna call you Huevo.
I love the idea. I feel like we're right on the line of you like being super funny, but also just ruining me forever. Like you're just pushing me along. I got the braids, then it's gonna be a mess.
No, don't be sensitive. We having a good time.
No, we're having a great time. I like you play more than. So I always tell people ask me what an interview's like, and I always say, you know what an interview's like? A good interview's like the person you're interviewing. Mm-hmm. So an interview with you is hella funny. You know? And when interviewing a senator, it's too serious. So I like it. I like it. What's your favorite? I don't know if other people ask me this. What is your favorite song that's either Migos or that Quavo's on, other than the ones on Icy that obviously you guys made together?
Probably Tiptoes. And just a little background about Tiptoes. We were having such a great time in Atlanta. I missed my flight. So I was like, well, let's record something. Went back to his house, turned up, and that's how Tiptoes kind of came about. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, well, look, before I let you go, let's just finish up with a little bit of the fashion, because you mentioned what Rihanna's doing. We talked a little bit about what you're doing, Icy by Saweetie, and you're also doing that with Black Lives Matter support, which I think means a lot to a lot of people. But given that you're building your whole career, what does it mean to you? How much do you want to be in, like, you want to be a fashion icon designer, like what she's doing, or this is just one of many things? Why is it important to you?
I can definitely see myself being a powerhouse and creating my own line that will supersede the Saweetie brand. I've been playing dress up, in my mama and my grandma closet, and been getting in trouble for playing with designer shoes out on the sidewalk. So it's always been a passion of mine. And I'm just super excited to see what, this new project opens up, like what type of doors opens up for me. Because if Icy and My Type 2 songs can do that, imagine what 7 Icy, 7 My Types can do for me. Because that's how confident I am with this project. I put my heart, my soul, my thoughts, and my personality into it. So I'm really excited for this new chapter in my career. Totally.
And what does it mean to you, if anything, to like, traditionally fashion, it came out of European fashion houses. It wasn't run by everyone in terms of diversity. And a lot of people have pointed out it wasn't really built for everyone when you look at just literally the body type and the designing. And now when we talk about Rihanna, Kanye, of course, has talked a lot about how he felt like shut out, and he's having the last laugh, making a lot of money. There's some years he's making more money off that than music. So does it mean something to you to also have more women of color running fashion?
I think it's imperative for women of color to be running, different types of industries, not just fashion. Because we're way more than music and fashion as a community. And I feel like they try to box us into, athletes and musicians, but we're also doctors, we're innovators. We are people who have laid the groundwork of America. So I feel like it's really important that women of color, especially Black women, are acknowledged for, our skill sets and, our knowledge. And I am, determined to be a part of that wave that inspires the little girls, to let them know that you look like me and you can do this too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, I can end with one final dad joke before I let you get out of here. Are you ready? This is new and exclusive. I've not said this on TV or on IG Live. This is new, okay? You ready?
Yes.
There's a big buildup, huh?
If you don't go here.
All right, here it is. And only some people are going to get this. And the people who get it are going to know it. And the people who don't get it, I'm sorry.
You're worrying me.
What do Roddy Ricch and hot dogs have in common?
I don't know.
They both go well with mustard.
I can't.
Get off the slide. It's your butt in the bed. You take a shower, you go to sleep.
Thank you for your time. Good luck with
No,
everything. I hope we get to meet someday.
It has been my pleasure. Are you based in the Bay Area?
I'm back and forth between New York and California, but I generally live in Brooklyn.
You're in Brooklyn.
That's where I live, yeah.
Oh, for sure. One of my biggest fan bases are in New York. Shout out to all the girls who are tapped in, the boys who are tapped in from New York. I love y'all. So when I have a show out there, you got to come through and tell me one of your dad jokes in person, okay?
I would be honored, and I'm so happy for you and everything you're doing, and let's keep in touch.
Let's keep it. Okay. All
right,
right.
everybody.
Bye, y'all. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.